What's good? What's good? Cold winter night here. Cold winter night. We're just kicking it. In this video, we're gonna talk about economics, leveraging and deleveraging of economies here. And on that last video, I got like some flack on it, or like some comments, kind of saying that not all MGTOWs are Christian or like religious or whatever. And then that kind of makes sense actually. So that last video, I guess like take that with a grain of salt, because I actually like learned since doing that video. So I don't know if all the stuff I said in that one was like truly right, but it's all good. That will probably happen more times down the road, but yeah, thanks for like leaving them comments and like telling me like what I got wrong and stuff. Yeah, it's all good. But in this one we'll talk about deleveraging. So this is stuff I'm like learning recently too, like some of these terms. And then I learned some of these terms a long time ago, to be honest, just because I was interested in some of that stuff, but like years ago. But like it's actually happening now, which is crazy. Like everything, all that like random stuff I learned, it's like happening. Like it's like examples are coming up almost every day of all these terms and all that crap that I learned. Like, so it's all kind of being relevant now, which is like very weird. And I don't know if it's one of those things where you just learn something so then your brain just automatically picks it up. Could be that, but it's all good. Let's just discuss it. So I think we're in the midst of a global deleveraging. And I'm going to title this, "The Head is Still Leveraging, but the Body is Deleveraging." And we'll get into that in a bit. But a leveraged economy means that people use debt instruments, which essentially means people go into debt. Companies go into debt, government goes into debt, and like individual consumers go into debt in order to purchase things. And sometimes these things are assets and sometimes they're not, though. But the idea, if it's an asset, the idea is that the asset purchased will rise in value, or it will lead to more economic gain down the road. Which is why you would use debt, a debt instrument, or like essentially, which is why you would take on debt in order to get it, because you expect that the gains that you get down the line, like maybe like years later probably, or months later depending, will be like you'll gain back the money to pay off the debt plus an actual gain, like a financial gain off of whatever you bought with the debt. So an example of this is like taking out loans to pay for college. You hope that degree is an asset that will get you money, a lot more money down the line, so then you can pay off that debt plus the interest, and then also actually gain financially with that asset, with that degree. Or another example of this, like a more kind of like a business example would be if you take out loans to buy more computers to make them servers or whatever, and you want to make those computers work for your business, so you take out a loan to buy like that expensive hardware, and then by using that you hope to gain more clients, or more like make your service better, or your business better, and like you get more money because of that incremental benefit of buying whatever you did with the debt you took out, with the loans you took out from like the bank or like whatever. Or I mean, it could be like investors' money, because we're talking about like leveraging as a whole. So it isn't necessarily, I don't think it has to be loans per se, but like taking out money, like, but spending money with the expectation of later gains down the road, like rather than just saving that money. Yeah. So, and that's that's a leveraged economy. So in a leveraged economy, people have the credit worthiness in order to take on debt and then use that debt to pay for assets that will hopefully get them more financial gain down the road. So that's why it's leveraged, because you're leveraging debt essentially. Like you're using debt as like a lever to like get you up. Like rather than just saving the money. So like now what's a deleveraged economy? So a deleveraged economy is one in which the borrower's creditworthiness, so these borrowers, it could be the government, corporations, or individual people like consumers. So borrowers' creditworthiness dries up on a massive scale if we're talking about the entire economy. And because it dries up, their creditworthiness dries up because their income or the value of their assets declines sharply. So in order to be creditworthy, you need to have income, basically. Like you need to be able to have some way of paying whatever loans or debt you take on. You need to be able to have some way to pay it back. So if your income drops, like let's say you lose your job because of COVID or something like that, then your creditworthiness drops because the odds of you paying it back are less now than when you did have the job because you don't have an income, whereas before you did have an income. Or the value of your assets might decline. And this is due to kind of other market forces. Like let's say the value of your home declines because of, like, I don't know, something that wasn't in your control necessarily. Or the value of some other, or let's say the value of your business as a whole declines because people are staying inside because of COVID. So now you can't use that business as leverage to take on more debt, right? Because now that it's not doing as well, you no longer have that leverage to make you creditworthy. And the revenue is probably decreasing. Like there's probably different ways to tell the creditworthiness of a business, but this is kind of like an overview, and I'm not like a financier or anything like that, so, or an accountant. So I can't tell you the specifics, but like business being an asset, if the value of that declines, you're less creditworthy. And because of their creditworthiness drying up, they can no longer borrow as much as they could or as much as they used to be able to, or if at all. So they're forced to save the money they do have or the money they are getting and pay down the debts that they already have. So usually a deleveraged economy happens after some kind of market downturn, economic downturn, like a recession or a depression. And in the world today, like the COVID lockdowns are causing, I don't know if they're calling it a depression, but it's at least a recession by this point. So now people are saving their money, for the most part, not everybody obviously, but a lot of people are saving their money and paying down the debts that they already have rather than taking on more debt in order to like have gain down the road. And as I discussed in a previous video, and there's a bunch of videos about this on YouTube, but new money is debt. So like our money supply works, like our fiat money supply, electronic money supply. Those are like in my kind of longer videos that I did like last year. But new money created is created out of debt due to the financial instruments that the Federal Reserve and Treasury and government kind of use. So this means that theoretically there should be a lack of new money in a deleveraged economy because people aren't taking on debt, the debt that's required to print new money. So theoretically, I'm saying theoretically because we're going to get to the point like why I said the head thing is still trying to leverage, but the body is deleveraging. So let's just call the head the government, the head of the country, the government is still trying to leverage, and the body of the country, like the economy itself, is deleveraging regardless. So theoretically, the economy is supposed to contract and correct for the over leveraged phase of like that it previously went through. However, in the US though, we're kind of doing economic stimulus packages. So we had, I think it was like a $2 or $3 trillion stimulus last year. I don't know if we had 2 stimulus packages or one. I'm trying to remember, but all I know is that it was trillions of dollars. I think it was at least 2 trillion, and I think they're thinking of doing another stimulus, like with the Biden administration. So the government, so the head is still attempting to use debt in order to purchase things and in order to give people money also. And they're trying to use that to like leverage the economy. And like remember that leveraging is using debt instruments in order to like purchase things. And then the idea is that the money that you went into debt for, when you disperse that, like when you pay for what you want to pay for, the gains you'll be able to pay off the debt and then have financial gains that overcome whatever the debt was and like give you some left over. It's like you end up like, it might take a few years or months or whatever, but like you end up being better off than you were. So that's what the government is still attempting to leverage the economy. But the body of the country is like, if you just look at kind of what's going on, people are saving a lot of the money. It seems like things are deleveraged. So people are getting money for stimulus and then they're saving it, or they're investing it into a stock market or like some other asset. So it's not quite completely deleveraged, but it's not leveraged either. Like, so I don't know if it's a transition phase, or like maybe this might be like the way that they try to like keep everything leveraged, because apparently I don't really remember 2008 that much, but I know there was like an $800 billion stimulus in that like during that era, and the economy I guess seemed to stay leveraged for the next like 10 years, or what, like up until basically COVID. I guess the economy was still pretty leveraged after that stimulus. So it could be the same thing now, to where the government provides stimulus and then we stay over leveraged for a while. But I'm not too sure. Now that I'm kind of older and I know more about this stuff though, I'll be able to like see what's actually going on and see if this is just basically normal. Like if this is just how it is, because I know we've had a fiat currency. I had this in my other, like my longer videos from the past that no one watched. in the past, but like when we went off like we've been on the fiat currency system for like 40-ish years. Like after 1973, I think it was, Nixon like said no, like took us off the gold standard. And he said we would go back on it. He said that was temporary. Like in my video, I have a little bit of his speech that he had, and he said it would be temporary, but it's been 40 years, and I'm like in my mid-20s now, so I haven't seen a time of like not fiat currency. So maybe, and from other videos I've heard, they say fiat currencies always fail. So I don't know if like we're gonna see it failing or if this is how it's gonna be for a while, but like the stimulus packages keep getting bigger. So, because I know that $800 billion stimulus from like 2008, 2009, in the Obama administration, that one was like the biggest stimulus to date. But then during this past Trump administration, they passed a bigger stimulus than that. In the Biden administration, I think they might be planning an even bigger stimulus. So, yeah, that's definitely the government leveraging. And we'll see what happens when COVID lockdowns end, but yeah, that's all I know like right now. And the leveraging, deleveraging stuff that I kind of learned more about. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that, but yeah. And thanks for watching my videos. I'll show you like some stats. I can't believe, like, so I have basically like 50 plus people that watch my videos, which is crazy. And I have like 100 plus views, which is pretty weird. And this channel is like, what, 3-ish months old or something like that. So, like, I kind of wanted people to view it, but like, did I really expect people would actually watch this? Not really. But it's pretty cool. I got like 16 views in the last 48 hours. So if I can keep chugging along on the views, I'll keep posting. And the watch time wasn't too bad on some of them. So if y'all keep watching it, screw it. Like, we'll see what happens together. But remember the main purpose of the channel: stay healthy, and yeah, just keep it chilling. Basically, let's just get through this thing pretty much. All right, peace.